Prior to speaking to teenagers, spent a lot of years working in crisis pregnancy centers in Chicago and Minneapolis, just like the PRC here. And you know, these ladies at the PRC could tell you, and I could tell you doing this for 9 years, that I spent a lot of time listening to kids say, nobody told me. I didn't know. If someone would have told me, if I would have understood this would be the consequence, I would have made a different choice. No one told me. I began to ask these girls, do a little study in my office, what could we have said? I mean, is there really something that we could have said to you before that might have helped you to make a better choice? I'm going to tell you right now that I believe that our kids are capable of making better choices. I believe that. I believe they do not understand the consequences. And if they fully understood the consequence, they would be better equipped to make the right choice. I believe that. Okay? I am few and far between. And politically right now, I'm in the minority. Because we're in a place right now where I'm telling you that I believe that abstinence education works. And I have seen it work. I have studies now. In fact, I don't need the NAE to do this, but if you want to check them out, the National Abstinence Education Association, the CDC just released stats 3 months ago that does show that abstinence education works. CNN didn't cover it. Slipped it. Okay? And this is the deal. Here's the other thing I want you to understand. Politically, they're going to tell you abstinence doesn't work. What? Really? Because last I checked, it worked 99.9999% of the time. There was once in the history of the world I am aware of in which it did not work. I don't think that's repeating itself. All right? Abstinence works. So what are they saying? They're saying this. Well, we can tell them about abstinence, but they're not going to do it. You need to understand the language here, parents, because you're going to be in front of school boards, you're going to be telling your schools, we need to do this, and they're going to throw this right back at you. Well, it doesn't work. When they say abstinence doesn't work, they are making assumptions that you would believe them that comprehensive sex education works. Make them pull out the research. Because I have news for you. There is none. In the 1970s, we had this much, and I'm not going to give you all the numbers because I'll mess them up, but we had it was about 17% of sexually active high school students. It was in that neighborhood, under 20%. So in the 70s, Planned Parenthood went to our Congress and said this, we have 17% of high school kids having sex. We need comprehensive sex education. So we funded them to the tunes of millions of Title V funding, millions of dollars pumped into comprehensive sex education. 15 years later, we had 42% of students sexually active in high school. And guess what happened in the mid-'80s? The same group came back to Congress and said, we have 42%. Y'all use chem lawn or barefoot lawn or anything in the suburbs here? If you called up this lawn service and said, I got 17% of my grass with crabgrass in it right now, and I need you to come out here and fix this, and they came out and did it, and then sent you a bill, and when they left, you had about 47% more than when they showed up, are you going to pay them? And are you going to ask them back? Ridiculous. Insanity. So then they came back and said, we need more, and we need more, and we need more. We have federally funded comprehensive sex education in this country to the tunes of absolutely billions of dollars since 1972. In 2002, a certain president decided to give a portion of the sex education money, not the whole thing. It actually was 15% of Title X. I need you to understand this. All of Title V, not. Title X, 15% of that pie was given to abstinence education. First time. Within 2 years, the other side was screaming, abstinence doesn't work. Within 2 years of the funding. I was on George Bush's task force, there were 12 of us, to actually define who would get the abstinence education money, because our first real problem was that people who were already teaching comprehensive sex education just called their program abstinence. They just slapped abstinence on it so they could get that money again. And it wasn't. So we had to sit down with 12 of us for over a year to make sure that anyone who called themselves abstinence education was abiding by this particular standard. And it wasn't even if it was good or not. We didn't have the ability to say this is a good abstinence program. We just did a pass-fail. Does that make sense? Either they met the standards of being abstinence education or they didn't. If they didn't, they failed. They could go get Title V funding over here, but they couldn't get the abstinence grant. We did not even get far enough to say this is good or effective abstinence education. I mean, I've been around the country where I have people, you know what we do? We tell our kids not to have sex, and then literally, I'm not even making this up. I was just in the state, I'm not even going to mention its name, and these ladies who got deceased some of this grant, this Brands grant, came up to me and they handed, we wanted to give this to you. We're so glad you're here in our town and we're out there doing this and we've got a Brands grant to do abstinence education. They hand me this little white box. I'm all excited. I pull it out and I'm opening it like I'm getting this exciting gift. And there were suckers, like, you know, the lollipops, the round ones, very pretty suckers. I pulled it out and it says right on the big sucker, herpes sucks. I went, really? Thank you, ladies. That's adorable. I had to put it in my suitcase, hoping the TSA did not go through my things. The suckers in my suitcase that said herpes sucks. Unbelievable. I have seen so much junk done in the name of abstinence education. Now, I've seen a lot of good things. There's amazing programs. Project Reality, my good friend Scott Phelps, who's done Excel, and we have a tremendous amount of good stuff out there. But there's, come on, are you with me? There's going to be silliness, right? Especially when there's cash getting thrown at people. There's going to be silliness. Here's the reality. Abstinence education does work. I believe that when kids are told the truth, but at the bottom of the line, and I've said this in front of Congress and the few legislators that are making the decision, it doesn't matter if it works or not. We tell kids the truth. Yes. Please, we tell kids the truth. No, here, and I'm at Planned Parenthood, and I are having this argument on television in Southern California. A woman, head of Planned Parenthood for all of Southwest Florida. We're on television, and I looked at her, and she says, well, we've got to make sure that the kids know all of their body parts. I said, I have never met one 10th grade boy who had sex because he didn't know what his penis was. I did not know what that was. If someone would have given me more information about this organ, I would have not done this. All right, so then she's like, well, you know what, they don't. Then we need to give them birth control, and we need to give them condoms. I said, wait a minute, do condoms protect from HPV? Simple question to the lady from Planned Parenthood. She goes, well, sometimes. I said, are you speaking for yourself, or are you speaking for Planned Parenthood? Because I want it on record, because it's being taped. Well, as the directors, we understand. So then she went into this diatribe of understanding that condoms don't work. It's a skin-contracted virus that males carry on your scrotum. Condom cover that? Boys? That would be painful, just guessing. I happened to say that to Alan Keyes on Hannity and Combs on national television. And I got about 100 emails from her. We'll never forget the day Pam asked Alan Combs. Don't get that wrong, that was bad. That was like night and day there, and not even black and white, just really wrong. Alan Combs, the day that you asked Alan Combs about his scrotum on national television. Condoms don't cover the entire genitalia of a male, do they? And last I checked, they cover none of my genitalia, none. None. And we're telling 100% of the population to use a device that partially protects half from one disease? It's ridiculous. I looked at them and I said this, I've said it at the UN, I've said it over and over again. I could have sex 1 million times with my husband, who has only been with me, and I have only been with him. Never use a condom. Ever. I will never get a disease. I could have sex once with some guy I meet at the Springfield Marriott over here. Tonight, use a condom and be infected for the rest of my life. It has nothing to do with latex. It has everything to do with the partner, okay? So this lady's like a little flustered because she's not used to me. The woman from Planned Parenthood is used to, I don't know what. So she goes, well, we know condoms fail. We know, yes, we're all well aware. And then this came, I am not even lying. I could not make this up. This came out of her mouth. But we can't tell kids condoms don't work because they might not use them.